I've worked my entire career with actors, a long time now, and it's what I always wanted to do, and sure enough, that's what I do. And I developed this process that I'm going to talk to you about today for actors, that there is this sort of need to be able to make yourself distinct from everything else. Not necessarily better. Because, you know, one of the things that we're taught along the way in acting class is, well, the best actors get the jobs. And then sometimes you're looking and you go, well, that can't have been the best person that they saw. So sometimes you notice that. I was a casting director and a talent executive for a long, long time. And on the callback level, everybody is castable. That's the idea. The casting person loses their job if you bring in people that can't do the job. A director wants to know that he or she is looking at several people that are castable, and then based on this, that, or the other thing, they're going to choose somebody. So very often when you're sitting there waiting for that audition, you look down the line of people waiting, and first of all, it may feel like four of your cousins, number one, because you're all in, you know, in a similar casting box. And then you look down and go, I am not necessarily a much better actor than these other people. And it means then that my job is not necessarily to be better than all of them, but it's at least to be distinct among them. And that issue then sort of plays out into kind of what I do. I think what's even more important than the job is that you create a distinction there that keeps you on the list. I mean, the job's great, and that's obviously a wonderful payoff. But sometimes you're too tall, you're too short, you know, you're taller than the leading man. They don't like that. Things like that would create it so that this isn't your particular job, and yet you certainly would like those people that saw you at callback to put you on the list, to think of you again, and maybe 3 or 4 months down the line be able to remember you when they're actually putting together a list that has the job with your name on it, or even better, and this is ultimately my goal, and what I love it when people come back to our follow-ups and tell us, is that they went for an audition, didn't get it. 3 months later, the casting director calls and says, you know, you don't have to audition for this. I'm just booking you because the director just loved you 3 months ago and she wrote something for you. I don't, you know, I was distinct enough that something was created for me, so much the better. So that's what I really want, is that ability for you to be able to create yourself as distinct without necessarily being better than everybody there, but distinct from everybody there, so people really understand not only do they get the expected skills, but they also get a unique stamp from you. I think what it really needs to do is look alive. There has to be some humanity that's coming off of the 2 dimensions of a photograph or the screen if people see the photo online. But that feeling that I'm getting something of the living person from this inanimate representation of them, I'm getting a feeling about what they're going to bring as a human being. I want to make sure that when you go in and spend $300, $400, $500 to get that picture that's going to carry a significant weight in your career for the next year or 2 or 3, that's well spent, and that you don't get there after you've set the whole thing up going, ha, you know, but that there's a picture that you flow out of. It is ultimately up to each of you to facilitate that, and this process was designed to just help that happen faster and happier. Is humanity going to transfer to some medium, tape or film? And if you're not translating to the still camera and you just look like a photo, then the underlying psychological idea is you may not translate to film or tape either as a living person. So that is why that demand is there, and I think it's important. And I also think it's kind of it's like the simplest application of the stuff I do is that photograph. Is it possible to get that photograph, to put myself in the position to be photographed alive, and also to inspire the other people who may be involved in that, grooming people, makeup people, certainly a photographer. How do I inspire them? So we're all collaborating on the same human message here, so that photograph has the best possible chance of being, you know, alive with us. That particular issue is something that comes up very often in the people that come to us. People who have meetings with agents or casting people, and they say, I love what you do. You're really interesting, but I just don't know what to do with you. And then we suddenly get the message that it's incumbent on us to tell them what to do with us, and we don't have the language for that. Well, here's what to do with me. Here's where I fit in. Here's sort of the tradition of other actors that I fit in. Here's the pattern of archetype I fit in. All those kinds of things that could assist them in figuring out, indeed, what to do with you. So that whole thing of how do we crack through that idea of they like us, they like our work, but they just don't know how to make use of it. And then how do we quickly educate them in a way that helps them know how to do that without being insistent or, any way that would not be welcome, but in a way that really does help them go, oh, thanks, now I get it. Now I have a better idea how to make use of what you've proven you can do. Now I know where to put it, what to do with it. And that's something that I love solving.